All this the Spirit concealed had done in her. A portion of the mighty Mother came into her as into its own human part. Amid the cosmic workings of the gods, it marked her the center of a wide drawn scheme, dreamed in the passion of her far seeing spirit to mold humanity into God's own shape and lead this great, blind, struggling world to light, or a new world discover or create.
So, so important, this passage. My gosh. So, this spirit that has been concealed had made, had allowed the mighty mother to come into Savitri. But he says only
Mm,
a portion of the mighty mother came into her, as into its own human part. So then he says amid, which means in the middle of, or in the center of, or it
mm,
can be among also, among the cosmic workings of the gods. It marked her, Savitri, the center of a wide drawn scheme that was dreamed in the passion of her far seeing spirit. And then these magnificent lines to mold humanity into God's own shape and lead this great, blind, struggling world to light. And lead this great, blind, struggling world to light. Or a new world discover or create. Now, isn't that interesting?
yes.
That she had this choice to discover a new world or create a new world.
Mm,
And so I believe they decided to create this new world, and that's the supermind.
mm.
Okay, so we'll carry on.
Earth must transform herself and equal heaven, or heaven descend into earth's mortal state.
Hmm.
But
We
for
don't know
such,
what's going to happen yet, do we? Is Earth going to transform herself and equal heaven? Or is heaven going to descend into this mortal state of earth? Well, it seems by Sri Aurobindo and Mother coming down that the second is what they chose,
Mm,
um, to for heaven to descend into this mortal state of earth and this new world to create through the supramental. So I think we can be clear on that.
yes.
That's what is meant here. Now, he's not going to stop at all. He's carrying on. Okay.
But for such vast spiritual change to be out of the mystic cavern in man's heart, the heavenly psyche must put off her veil and step into common nature's crowded rooms and stand uncovered in that nature's front and rule its thoughts and fill the body and life.
So we have to go back a little bit because this mystic cavern in man's heart. I spoke to Alok and to Amal about this, and they gave two very good answers. Alok says the mystic cavern is the heart center in the middle of the chest, where in the depths dwells the psychic being. It is the seat of the divine presence in man. Alok can be very, very brilliant at times.
Mm,
He veers a lot into the old stories of the gods,
mm,
and sort of takes me off track because he's speaking more to an Indian audience.
Mm,
And
mm,
sometimes I would like him to speak to the world.
mm.
But now here's Amal. It seems to be the loftiest part of the inner being, where the true soul, which is hidden in us, has its dwelling.
Mm.
And both very beautiful. So
Yes.
that's finished now. We're going to the next page. And he says the heavenly psyche, capital S. And we haven't done that as yet. So let's look at one of his letters, one or two of his letters. It is when the true soul, psyche, comes forward and begins first to influence and then govern the actions of the instrumental nature that man begins to overcome vital desire and grow towards a divine nature. How beautiful.
So is it the psychic being? The same as the psychic being? The psyche?
Yes, he
Mm.
calls it in the synthesis of yoga that spark of the divine, which is the true psyche.
Mm.
And then he says, this is a little long, but it's well worth listening to. The soul or psyche, so he's saying they're synonymous, is immutable only in the sense that it contains all the possibilities of the divine within it, but it has to evolve them. And in its evolution, it assumes the form of a developing psychic individual, psychic being, evolving in the manifestation, the individual prakriti, and taking part in the evolution. It is the spark of the divine fire that grows behind the mind, vital and physical,
Mm.
by means of the psychic being,
Mm.
until it is able to transform the prakriti of ignorance into a prakriti of knowledge. So thorough. Sri Aurobindo is always so thorough.
Is that from Letters on Yoga?
Yes, both
I'm
two letters on yoga.
I'm start I read I read the I read some part of it earlier, but now I've started it from the beginning.
Ah,
The
good.
first part. Yes.
Now, he also says in the Life Divine, the psyche, the soul, the inmost entity in us.
Mm.
So, very clear. So, now that has this, that heavenly psyche, and no, he capitalized psyche, of course, has to put off her veil, first of all, and then step into common nature's crowded rooms. What beautiful humor. Common nature's crowded rooms, and stand uncovered in that nature's front, and rule its thoughts, and fill the body and life. You have to work a little bit more on your D
Mm.
pronunciation at the end of and.
Okay.
You got it once or twice and you missed it once or twice. So
Okay.
good. Okay. So shall we continue?
Yes. Obedient to a high command she sat. Time, life, and death were passing incidents, obstructing with their transient view her sight that must break through and liberate the God, imprisoned in the visionless mortal man.
Powerful statement. Visionless mortal man. Huh? So she is obedient to this high command, and she is sitting. and seeing that time and life and death are only passing incidents, but they are incidents that obstruct with their transient view her sight. Her sight, see, he uses it twice, same phrase. Her sight, her sight.
Hmm. Hmm.
Her sight that must break through and liberate the God imprisoned in the visionless mortal man. Wow. Okay, carry on.
The inferior nature born into ignorance still took too large a place. It veiled herself and must be pushed aside to find her soul.
End of Canto 2. Now we see here that even in Savitri, this inferior nature that is born into ignorance is still taking too large a place.
Hmm.
Interesting, huh?
Hmm.
And therefore it has to be pushed aside to find her soul.
Hmm.
So now I'm going to go to the next page, 488. And
The
we'll do,
entry into the inner countries.
yeah, maybe we should say
Uh,
book 7, the book of yoga, do the whole thing.
Shall I shall I read the end of Canto 2 and then we can begin, or would you want me to read it all in one go? Should we
No,
start? Should we start?
I think you could do that. It's a good idea to read the end, and
Yes,
then
and then
this will be new.
yes, yeah.
Good. Okay.
Hmm. All this the Spirit concealed had done in her. A portion of the mighty Mother came into her as into its own human
Yeah,
part.
but it came into her. Not came
Came,
into her, but came into her.
yeah.
Okay.
A portion of the mighty Mother came into her as into its own human part. Amid the cosmic workings of the gods, it marked her the center of a wide drawn scheme, dreamed in the passion of her far seeing spirit to mold humanity into God's own shape and lead this great, blind, struggling world to light.
Yeah,
Or
but humanity into God's own shape. You don't
to
want
mold,
to drop the word shape there.
okay, to mold humanity into God's own shape and lead this great, blind, struggling world to light, or a new world discover or create. Earth must transform herself and equal heaven, or heaven descend into earth's mortal state. But for such vast spiritual change to be, out of the mystic cavern in man's heart, the heavenly psyche must put off her veil and step into common nature's crowded rooms and stand uncovered in that nature's front and rule its thoughts and fill the body and life. Obedient to a high command, she sat. Time, life, and death were passing incidents, obstructing with their transient view her sight that must break through and liberate the God imprisoned in the visionless mortal man. The inferior nature born into ignorance still took too large a place. It veiled herself and must be pushed aside to find her soul. End of Canto 2.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to do it again
Okay.
and to do it with me to feel each line that is so powerful with mantra. So I would start very softly. All this the Spirit concealed had done in her. So can you do that one line?
Yes. All this the Spirit concealed had done in her.
Then what happened? A portion of the mighty mother came into her,
A portion of the mighty mother came into her,
as
as into its own human part.
colon, colon, almost a full stop, but not quite. Amid the cosmic workings of the gods, it marked her the center of a wide drawn scheme, dreamed in the passion of her far seeing spirit. Now, you see, this has to be a little subtle, not in our face kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
but very subtle because there's no loudness going on here. There's no abruptness. It's just so beautiful. And that, so I want you to start with amid the cosmic workings of the gods, it marked her the center of a wide drawn scheme, dreamed in the passion of her far seeing spirit to mold humanity into God's own shape and lead this great, blind, struggling world to light, or a new world discover or create.
I will try. Amid the cosmic workings of the gods, it marked her the center of a wide drawn scheme, dreamed in the passion of her far seeing spirit to mold humanity into God's own shape and lead this great, blind, struggling world to light, or a new world discover or create.
Not just say, or a new world discover or create.
or or a new world discover or create.
Now you see how beautifully you read that, and it
Yes.
and it begins to become three-dimensional, doesn't it? You're
Yeah.
feeling it.
Yes.
You did very well. You did
You
very
know,
well.
what I'm consciously focusing on is to get the beat right, and
Yes,
so the rhythm. So maybe just focusing on that. I'm not keeping the other aspects in mind.
you can do both,
Yes. Yes.
and you will, and
Now
you
I
will
see.
you will do both.
Yeah.
So let's see now if you can do the next three lines alone, or two lines.
Okay. Earth must transform herself and equal heaven, or heaven descend into earth's mortal state.
And now what's going to happen? We have to change a little bit our, what shall I say, our vocal um, presence.
Mm.
But for such vast spiritual change to be, okay,
But for such vast spiritual change to be, out of the mystic cavern in man's heart, the heavenly psyche must put off her veil and step into common nature's crowded rooms and stand uncovered in that nature's front and rule its thoughts and fill the body and life.
very good. Only thing is, you said psyche.
Is it
I think it's psyche.
the heavenly psyche? Okay,
Yes. But very good.
okay.
Okay. And the rest was excellent. So
Okay.
now what's going to happen? Now she has to be obedient.
Mm.
Okay.
Obedient to a high command, she sat. Time, life, and
No,
death were
that's
past.
that's too strong. Obedient to a high command, she sat.
Mhm.
Come,
Obedient to a high command, she sat.
time.
Time,
You can do it. Time.
time, life, and death were passing incidents, obstructing with their transient view her sight that must break through and liberate the God imprisoned in the visionless mortal man.
Now, what we have seen here, just what we have seen here, is that we slowed the rhythm a bit.
Hmm.
We didn't rush through it.
Yes.
And many people do that. Last night with Shradalu, did you see the program?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Because he asked me to answer this fellow's question on meter, and
Hmm.
I answered pentameter, and we went back and forth, he and I, and it was very beautiful.
Okay.
25 minutes worth. So, so we see that sometimes, you see, it can be argued, and it has been argued by Amal Kiran and others, that Sri Aurobindo is not very free with punctuation marks.
Hmm.
So I might have thought time, life, and death, comma,
Mm.
were passing incident. You see?
Mm.
But Sri
Yes.
Aurobindo doesn't have that, so we have to honor exactly
Hmm.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you read that good. So now the last three lines, and then we'll go. Oh my gosh. Okay. We'll do a little of the next canto. The inferior nature,
The
born into
inferior
ignorance. Go ahead.
The inferior nature, born into ignorance, still took too large a place. It veiled herself and must be pushed aside to find her soul.
I think I've shared that uh, passage of Macbeth with you. Haven't I sent that to you? That
No, no.
no? Okay, then I have to make a note of that, and I will
Yeah.
do it. Because you see, there's so many ways. You say still took too large a place, but you could have also said still took
Too
too.
large a place.
And that's
Okay.
what I'm going to send you, Macbeth. Okay. And it's brilliant. It will catch you very much. And did I
Okay.
send you? Did I send you the Julius Caesar quote?
No.
Okay, so those are two. This fellow, this Englishman, it just he catches it perfectly, and
Mhm.
you'll really appreciate it.
Okay.
So, still took still took. See, you have to
Ooh.
decide what you're going, how you're going to phrase it. We understand it's too large a place, and
Mm.
we understand, comma, that it veiled herself. But this inferior nature, born into the ignorance, did what?
It veiled herself and
No,
must be,
no.
it
The,
veiled
no, no,
herself.
no, no. Ignorance. The inferior nature, born into ignorance, still,
Still, still,
still,
still took too large a place. It veiled herself and must be pushed aside to find her soul.
No, and must be pushed aside to find her soul. You see how
And
powerful that is?
yes,
And
and
must,
must be pushed aside to find her soul. Her
even so,
soul.
even softer, and
And
must,
must be pushed aside to find her soul.
yes, yes, yes. Good girl.
Yes.
Wonderful. So I think we'll break for today. It's only 3 minutes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
start the new canto next week, huh?
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful.
All right. Thank you. Namaste. Be well. Thank
Thank you.
you.